I'm from LivePerson Israel. I'm the product manager for our APIs. I work for LivePerson for 8 years. And I really appreciate that you came to hear me after this break, because I know that it's very tempting to stand back with a beer and food. And so thank you very much for everybody who came. Today I'm going to talk about our different APIs. I'm not going to go deep into the technical level, but rather explain what are the possibilities, what are the use cases that you can use APIs for. I'm going to demonstrate each one of the APIs on mobile devices. And then I'm going to introduce our developers community, where you can find all the materials that you need in order to develop application. And obviously we'll end with question and answer if you'll have any. So the first API that I'm going to talk about is the visitor chat API. All the demos from our customers and partners that you saw before are based on this API. This API allows you to embed LivePerson chat solution anywhere you want, including mobile devices, but not only mobile devices. And I'm going to describe some of the use cases, popular use cases that we thought about. So we have two flavors of the visitor chat API. We have the JavaScript API, which can be used in mobile m.dot sites, like you saw in the Cisco case. You can use it in order to introduce translations, or text to voice, or voice to text, because what we give you is an API to handle the chat, and you can implement the UI and the functionality on top of that API. You can have dynamic content, so you can add images to the chat window. You can add video to the chat window. Anything you want on top of the chat functionality. Once again, the chat API gives you the chat functionality. The UI is written and designed by you. You can embed the chat window. So in all demonstrations that we saw so far, the chat window popped up from the page. With the chat API, you can embed the chat window within the page. And then when visitor moves between pages, the chat window can move with him, embedded inside the web page. The second API that we have for visitor chat is REST API. REST API is based on HTTP requests, and you can use it everywhere. Mobile native application, for example, chat over SMS, which was mentioned here before. The visitor send a line using SMS, agent receive it using our APIs, and when the agent replies, the reply is translated back to SMS that is sent to the visitor. And here is an example that we implemented in our lab team, which is available in our developers community. So if you want to bootstrap your solution, you can go to the developers community and download this demo application. IM integration. This is an example of integrating chat into Google Talk. As you can see here, 529 is LivePerson own account, our service account. And here is a chat that I'm doing with a LivePerson agent over XMPP and Google Talk. So this is another possibility of using the visitor chat API. The second API that we develop is Visit API. Visit API is all about monitoring visitor activity. And you can monitor visitor activity anywhere, and you can add information about a visitor from external systems. So mobile application activity, obviously. If you write a native application, you can later on monitor what the visitor did in this application, what parts of the application were used by the visitor, what elements the visitor showed interest in, etc. Social media activity, like Twitter or Facebook, you can monitor what the visitors are doing on Twitter and use the Visit API in order to create a visit in the LivePerson system, so the agent will be able to see a list of all important tweets in Twitter that are relevant to your brand. We have a partner called Trax that actually implements such a solution, and it's now integrated into our systems. You can use it in other devices, IPTV, cars, GPS system, any device that can use HTTP request, can monitor visitor activity, and you can later on send content to this visitor or chat with him wherever the visitor currently is being. The second part of Visit API is enriching. So if you monitor your visitors on the website, you know only some information. The agent is exposed to only part of the information about the visitor. Some of the information about the visitor only exists in the CRM system, in the back office. So using the Visit API, you can send this information to our system and engage a visitor using chat based on the information that came from the CRM system and not only based on the visitor activity on the site. This will give you a very powerful tool in order to identify historical information and any attribute about the visitor that is currently visiting your site. Third-party data. We have two partners that you can see here, Demandbase and Rapleaf, that enrich the information that you can have about a visitor. Demandbase use the IP address in order to supply a lot of information about the visitor. Rapleaf using emails in order to give you the information, and the agent now can know a lot of information about the visitor who is chatting with him in advance, and our system can invite this visitor to chat based on that information. So now I'm going to demonstrate the Visit API and Chat API in a mobile application. This is our agent console. All our customers are using the agent console currently on the desktop, because that's the agent console that we give you. On the top part, you can see a list of visitors in the site, and on the bottom part, it includes information about a specific visitor. Now this is a simulator of an iPhone device. As you can see, the resolution here is much better with a simulator, so I prefer to do it using the simulator instead of using a real device. But if someone will want to see it, I can demonstrate it later on a real iPhone device. Here on the right side, we have the agent console. On the left side, we have an iPhone application that simulates a Honda car dealership. As you can see, we have 4 cars available for sale. And once I open the application, as you can see, a line was added to the agent console. If I'll click on the line, I can now see that this visitor came from an iPhone application. If I now select a specific car, you'll see that additional information was added to the agent console, and the agent can now see that I'm interested in Honda Civic, and he can see what's the price of the car. Now, the information that was sent from the mobile application to the agent, the type of information, what information to pass, was decided by the programmer who programmed this application. We give you just the API. You can do whatever you want with the API. You can decide when to start monitoring, when to stop monitoring, what information to pass, etc. If I go back now to the product and I now want to buy the Honda Accord, it's still the Honda Civic. That's not an issue, but in the agent console you can see that I'm now interested in Honda Accord Executive. Once the visitor decides to buy, he also has an opportunity to chat with the agent using our Chat API. So when he presses the chat button, he can now start chatting with the agent, and you can see that the agent takes the chat. The agent already knows the information about the visitor, the fact that he's interested in Honda Accord, how much price, what's the price of the car, that he wants to buy the car because I see a conversion, the value of conversion is yes, and I can now chat with the agent. So in the mobile side, we saw the usage of 2 of our APIs, Visit API to monitor the visitor activity, Chat API in order to do the chat between the visitor and the agent, and both APIs are linked together So the agent can see all the information that was gathered during the visit when it does a chat with the visitor. And the REST API, the demo that I give you here is on iPhone, but our APIs are available for any mobile platform. So you can develop the same application for Android-based mobile devices, for RIM-based mobile devices, Microsoft-based. It doesn't really matter. The important thing is those devices support HTTP communication. That's the only thing that they should support. The last API that I'm going to talk about today is the Agent API. What we saw so far was the side of the visitor. We saw that we can monitor visitor activity and we can chat, and the visitor can chat using our APIs. The Agent API is supposed to give you an option to develop an agent application for your mobile device. So the agents can now leave the office and continue to take chats from visitor and support the visitor and see what activity is going on the site. So some use cases, mobile obviously, and I'll show you a demo, and in addition, LivePerson has released a version for iPhone, which is available in the Apple App Store for download free of charge by our customers. A desktop application, you can write your own desktop application or embed our agent console capabilities into an existing desktop application. CRM consoles like Salesforce Service Cloud Console, or any other web-based application for which you want to embed our agent chat capabilities. Virtual agent, a very hot topic recently. Virtual agents, they use intelligence and chatbots in order to offload the real agent. So a visitor can start talking with a machine and then, if needed, escalated to a real agent. Can also be implemented using our Agent API. So let me demonstrate a mobile agent console. So this is the agent console. You can see I need to put in my site ID, name, and password as you do in the desktop console. And now I'm logged in to my iPhone agent console application. Now I'll go to a regular website. Even though I could demonstrate it on a mobile website, it works in both ways. This is an e-commerce site, and they have a link, contact us, that open a chat window. So I'll open the chat window. And as you can see, there is a badge saying 1 on this tab, or the visitors tab, indicating that there is one chat waiting for me as an agent. So I can take the chat from the agent console. Remember, the iPhone application here represents an agent, not the visitor. The chat side this is the agent side of the chat session. I can see information about the visitor. I can go in, see all the information that you have in their desktop in the LPAC agent console, where the visitor came from, custom variables, pages that the visitor visit, and information about the browser. And then I can chat with the visitor. Once again, the visitor can and you'll see it in the agent console, and vice versa. So this demo is written on top of our Agent API. It was written internally just for the purposes of demo. And you can have the same functionality on Android or any other mobile device, because our APIs can be used on any platform you want. Before we go to the developers community, I want to show you the agent console that is available in the App Store. Currently, the admin APIs are proprietary and are used internally only. We are working on a publicly available API. I cannot tell you when it will be available, but it's on our roadmap. This application, as I told you, can be downloaded from the Apple App Store. What I'm going to do now is to log into LivePerson own site, the service site where we serve our customers. We are using our own product, obviously, to serve our customers. Let me do login. As you can see, I'm away, so I cannot take chats, and I configure it to see all the visitors in the site. So now when I go to the visitor side, you see that I have a lot of visitors that visiting the LivePerson website, and I can see the activity on the site. Great opportunity for the owner of the site when he's not in the office to see what's going on the site, how many visitors are they, what they are interested in. And there is one chat here that I can go in. As you saw before, I can see all the information about the visitor. Since this is a real site, you see much more information about the visitor. And we can also see the chat that went through between the visitor and the LivePerson agent. In this application, you can see a list of visitors. If you remember the demo I gave you before, you saw only the chat requests. So the reason for it is that this application is written on our proprietary private APIs. It's available for our customers. And so I wanted to show you that we are going to mobile for the agent as well. But if you'll try to develop it yourself on top of the APIs, the capabilities that we have with APIs are somehow limited. So you will not be able to see the list of visitors. That's something that we are going to come up with in the future. The last thing I want to talk about is our developers community. So in order to get all the information about our APIs, you should go and register yourself in our developers community. It is developer.liveperson.com. We have a great getting started section where you can learn all you need to know about the LivePerson products, LivePerson terms, and the different APIs, what is the development process, what you should do in order to develop your first application. So the first thing you need to do is go over the getting started section. The product section explains in details each and every one of the APIs, including use cases example, code examples, and documentation. I'll just go to the agent API product just to give you a short explanation about the structure, and the structure is the same for all the APIs. We start with an overview and use cases, and then we go to documentation, where we give you a very quick step-by-step instruction on how to build your first application, and then a full description of the APIs and what you can do with them. And the last section is sample code linked to sample code that we have in the developers community that you can use as a bootstrap in order to start developing. A lot of the demos that I gave today exist in the developers community. SMS gateway, XMPP gateway, all those sample codes exist in our developers community. The last but not least is the mobile section. Under resources, we have a new section called mobile, in which you can see all the information that we supply about mobile, motivation, use cases, how to start with your mobile approach, etc. Everything is captured in this section of the developers community. Thank you very much for being with me.
Thanks, Asaf.